Are you a breeder looking to showcase your show pigs? With a Walton Webcasting Show Pig Shoot, we are your go-to video service for capturing the full picture of your show pigs. We specialize in providing top-quality video services for breeders like you. Our skilled video team comes directly to your operation. You talk to pigs, we capture the video. Whether it's baby pigs, boars, gilts, or sows, we ensure that their unique features will shine through. With the power of our website and social media, your professionally recorded videos are streamed live, allowing potential customers from all over the country to view and appreciate the quality of your show pigs. We handle the technicalities so you can focus on what you do best, raising exceptional livestock. To schedule your next show pig shoot, call Rhonda at 765-431-7367. Welcome to the ultimate show on the track. Today we celebrate our premier partners, the driving force behind the livestock industry across the nation. Get ready to witness the power of partnership as our premier partners take to the asphalt. Green light and they're off. On the track we have our first partner, Laird Premium Blend Genetics from premiumblendgenetics.com. Next up, it's Beck's Hybrids from beckshybrids.com. And here comes Showright from showright.com. Coming around, we have Brad.
Your junior percentage Charolais heifer show, welcoming to the ring our judge today, Mr. Mark Kelly.
Well, this first class of Charolais composites, for a small class, a ton of diversity in it. And we did a little mix and match here. We use this heifer calf to win. She not only has the most look in the class, but I think when you set her in motion and you analyze her structure, both in front, behind her, is how she ends up at the top. It wasn't necessarily a slam dunk for me between these two heifers. They're both meant for different sectors of the industry, but I think the heifer calf, between combining the look, the way she gets out and travels, and when you get in behind her, she's a little truer to the ground. She doesn't get out in her hawk quite as much as the big heifer behind her, and combines that with an amazing amount of look. The heifer that comes in second, obviously, has her spot in the industry. Ton of pounds. She travels a little nicer from the side. Like I said, when you get in behind her, she gets just a little bow-legged behind for me, and that's kind of what lands her here. And I like the look of the heifer in third. Gives you a nice profile. It's just when she gets out and travels, she's a little hard hitting the ground, cuts her stride just a tick for me, but still a tremendous female to end up third.
First class here in your junior percentage heifer show, Class 8A late spring heifer calves. Well, congratulations over here in the Youth Texas Longhorn Show. Your junior champion female exhibited by Jalen Krimmel. That's 14K's Kiss My Sass. And congratulations, reserve in that division coming out of Class 3, also exhibited by Jalen Krimmel. That's TB Southern Charm. Back over to the percentage, Charolais showed the results out of that first class of late spring heifer calves. First place was Conley Elvira 180N, exhibited by Elizabeth Sligger of Tupelo, Oklahoma. Second place in that class, exhibited by John Davis III. In third place, we'll go to Reed Groves of Beggs, Oklahoma. Now in the ring is Class 8B, early spring heifer calves. Well, congratulations in Class 8 in the Texas Longhorn Ring. First place exhibited by Kennedy Buchanan with WIC Mary Jane. Now in the ring, we'll look to see Class 9 females born May to August of 2024.
On these heifer calf classes, I'm going to take time, walk them just a little bit more. The time that people spend getting these things here, the hours put in at home, we've all had these things come out here, and it takes them a little bit of time to get settled. And I'd like to give them every opportunity to come to have out here and just collect themselves and move like I think they would if they were at home in their own environment. The top end of this class, I think a guy could probably mix them up if you're doing different things. The heifer that comes to the top of the class for me, she does it more so just the way she handles herself off of both ends, moves a little truer to the ground when she comes towards you. I think with that, she is a little nicer chested. She might be slightly more upright in her front end. I think it's kind of splitting hairs when you come to that. Product, a little more muscle, a little more power, but I think she actually does it in a nicer package when she comes out, or movement package when she comes out to us. The heifer in second, highly presented, good-looking female, doesn't collect herself quite as nice out of her front end whenever she comes to you. I guess that's kind of what does it for me. Then, the bells and whistles, the other one has just a little bit more punch to her. Small differences like that. The heifer that comes in third, I do like this heifer quite a bit. To me, I read her's rolling on her outside toe just a little bit whenever she goes. A couple times I catch her not handling that hawk just perfect. I do love the way she is up through that neck and the top of her shoulder, and a lot of power. Just little structural things. The next two heifers in the class don't have the power, the bone, the muscle, the ones in front of them, but it's really the way they move out of their front ends that ends up where they are today.
Well, congratulations back over in the Charolais ring. Results out of Class 8B early spring heifer calves. First place exhibited by Caithlin Grofford of Greenfield, Oklahoma with FFF Miss Business 51-16. Second place was exhibited by Taylor Spray of Sharon, Oklahoma. Third place will go to Kensington Reed of Lewisburg, Kansas. Fourth place was exhibited by Katie Dismusks of fifth place, and congratulations will go to Shayla Dismukes. Now in the ring is Class 8C Junior Heifer Calves.
A tremendous female that comes to the top of this class, very well presented. She's ready for the show, fed well. I mean, probably on the upper edge of being ready, but a very good female. I mean, if you're going to come to this deal, you might as well have them as ready as you can. Love her depth of body, the way she ties together. I personally like some cushion in their pasture. You know, some people might call it excessive. I think it's very nice, and actually the way she handles her back wheels when she gets out on the move, not only just being the bigger, growthier, kind of better ready heifer, but she actually handles her back wheels just with a little more authority. For me, that ends up making it kind of a slam dunk. The heifer in second, ton of future. Obviously, isn't out here acting as good as the one that wins the class, but has some flexibility, right angles, has some real muscle, some real shape. Good young female for the future.
Well, congratulations in the Charolais ring. Results out of Class 8C Junior Heifer Calves. First place was exhibited by Tilden Smith of Altus, Oklahoma, with Pavlola 510N. And second place and congratulations go to Eli Rogers of Stratford, Missouri. We're now going to welcome in Class 8D Junior Heifer Calves to conclude the division.
small class with a tremendous amount of diversity. There's more question marks for me in this class than what there are for sure answers. The heifer that's going to win the class is the highest performing female in it. She ton of body, ton of mass. Just in the sector of the industry that these things are meant for, that alone is what brings her to the top of the class. Not perfect moving, but she gets out in motors. They have what gets her over the heifer in second is all the question marks. Heifer in second has a tremendous look to her. She flexes plenty good enough. Being where she is at this stage in the game, there's too many question marks when it comes to muscle performance to get her ahead of the heifer that wins the class.
Well, congratulations. Back over in the Charolais ring, results out of Class 8D before the division. First place exhibited by back number 1511. That was OBG Millie M3, exhibited by Stockton Scott of Miami, Oklahoma. Second place in that class went to Braylon Reed of Lewisburg, Kansas. Now in the ring, our judge will select his champion reserve percentage junior heifer calves. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results out of Class 10, females born January to April of 2024. First place exhibited by back number 962. That was Harley Joe Robertson with HX3 Destiny's Child. Second place go to back number 960, exhibited by Braylon Miller. That was WIC Clover Hart. Third place went to Michael Brody Gregory. Fourth place exhibited by Avery Matthey. Fifth place exhibited by Denali Greenleaf. Sixth place went to Quinlan Gallett, and seventh place go to Samantha Tiller. Now in the ring is Class 11, females born in 2023 before the division.
Well, a great way to start off the percentage show here in the Charolais deal. If anybody can't get excited about this group of heifer calves, then you probably need to go look in some other place. This is an awesome little set of heifers. Start off with the probably youngest heifer in the show, I believe, to win the first class. This thing does a lot of things right for me. I mean, she's got the look, she's got muscle, she's nice bodied. Everything kind of goes the right direction. Very, very well developed at that age as a very, very good young female. Going to be real excited to see where that one goes. Real young to be making too many big bets, but who knows? One like that can surprise you. The next heifer in line, kind of real meat and potatoes. She's bulky, round boned, stout built. Has that power cow look to her. She doesn't come out here and hit you as hard look-wise as some of them, but there's a lot of good in that animal, a lot of production value in that animal. That one can get out there and raise you one. Probably never going to go wrong putting one like that in the pasture. Next heifer in line, obviously the most ready one out here, and she's the one that probably, there's a way you can watch her when she gets out and moves, and she ties everything together great. She sets herself up. I like the angles. I like how smooth and tied in she is. The debate comes is there is much actual product there, or do we have a little extra feed giving us a little more product? And that's one of those questions you just kind of got to answer in your own mind. But a very striking female, comes out and hits you real hard. Next heifer in line just gets a little outclassed by the ones ahead of her. For sure a good female, much like the heifer to ahead of her. A lot of good product there, a lot of cow power in her. This is one that you can kick out and you can go a couple different ways with. I don't think you ever go broke raising this kind. Just gets a little outclassed in this. I'm going to go out here and look at them one more time, and we're going to pick one of these and then bring a second in for reserve.
Well, congratulations in our first division of percentage Charolais females, your junior heifer calf champion exhibited by Tilden Smith with Pavlola 510N. And reserve champion, congratulations, goes to Conley Elvira 180N, exhibited by Elizabeth Sligger of Tupelo, Oklahoma. We'll now look to get started with the next division. This will be your percentage senior heifer calves.
couple of single entries out here in our percentage Charolais fall division. Nice growthy heifer. Got a lot of future in her. Got the growth and length. This heifer will go out and do something for this young lady. The heifer that comes next is going to win the division. She's just a little more what I think this sector of the industry is moving towards. Shot more bones, shot more muscle, nickel softer. Probably stays in condition a little bit better in the pasture for her. She'll be our champion. The white one will be a reserve.
Well, congratulations back over in the Texas Longhorn ring. Results at a Class 11 before the division. First place exhibited by Sheridan Van Blarcom with LR Lily and CP. Second place exhibited by Michael Gregory with LR Ripping CP. Third place was exhibited by Bryn Hickman. Fourth place went to Avery Matthey. Fifth place, Ethan Hickman. And sixth place went to Meredith Pye. Now in the ring, our judge will select his champion reserve, senior female. Back over in the Charolais ring, results out of the percentage senior heifer calf division. Champion went to MJ Kit Kat 418, exhibited by Crew Baldwin of Tologa, Oklahoma, and reserve champion. And congratulations go to Lady Novak of El Reno, Oklahoma, with Noel.
Another single entry here in the percentage show. Stout, powerful, wide-made heifer. Gets out and moves around the ring plenty nice enough. We're going to let her go ahead and go on out, and so she isn't fighting this young man anymore. But a nice heifer to start this summer yearling.
Well, congratulations back over the percentage Charolais ring. Results out of the intermediate heifer division. Champion exhibited by Legend Cooper of Anadarko, Oklahoma, with Legends Miss Bree. We'll now welcome in Class 11. These are spring yearling heifers. Well, congratulations, senior champion female coming out of class 11. That was back number 969, LR Lily and CP, exhibited by Sheridan Van Bart Blarcom. And congratulations, reserve champion senior female coming out of the same class. That was class 11, back number 970, LR Ripping CP, exhibited by Michael Brody Gregory. Congratulations to those exhibitors. We'll now welcome in the champion reserve junior and seniors to select a grand reserve overall female.
When these two females come in and move around the ring, get stopped, do the things that all these cattle need to do, it actually ends up being a little tougher on the top end than what I thought it'd be when they first came in. The heifer that comes to the top to me, I guess it just comes down to checking the most boxes. Nice bodied, got a nice little udder showing, ton of muscle, nice bone. She does get out and travel really nice. Is she designed ideally up through her shoulder for me? No, but the female does a lot of things that she needs to get out here and do, and does it in a fairly attractive package. What ends up her winning the class over the heifer in second ends up probably being just volume. I think it's kind of a push whenever we talk front end structure on them. So the heifer in first carries a little more volume, a little more mass, a little more product, and that's what ends up getting her in the top of the class today. Very nice female coming in here. Use her for a little different part of the sector or sector of the industry. This heifer here might excel in your breeding program. Just for me today, she just gives up a little too much when it comes to mass, body, and volume, and doesn't excel in her structure any more than the one in front. The next two heifers in line, this heifer coming here, very refined and all that. I feel in this breed, if we emphasize too much on refinement, then we're falling behind. We're not truly doing what a Charolais composite should do. And the heifer that comes in last, a nice female. I just wish we could get her to go out and travel a little bit nicer off of both ends.
Well, congratulations, your grand champion, Texas Longhorn female here at the Cattlemen's Congress. And our youth show will go to Sheridan Van Blarcom with LR, Lily Ann, CP, and reserve grand champion. And congratulations to Michael Gregory with LR Ripping CP. At this time, over the percentage Charolais ring, we're going to bring in those division champion reserves, and our judge will be selecting his grand and reserve grand champion percentage females.
Well, nice to the females out here in this percentage Charolais drive. We had some weaker numbers, when we got in the center of it, but that's kind of typical, I mean, we get in some of the different age groups, the falls and the summers, and they're not quite as well represented number-wise, but good cattle to boot to come out of those divisions. I'll just walk through what I'm thinking a little bit out here, and, this is, for me, whenever I think about this particular breed, is where there is a lot of debate to be had. Are we trying to raise really sharp-looking show heifers? Are we trying to raise club calf mothers? It's not as cut and dried when we get in the purebred deal, and we know we're trying to raise bulls. We know we're trying to raise cows, to go out and raise bulls or raise production females. So the profit side of these can be a little different spot. So to me, there's quite a bit more of interpretation. And so with that being said, the heifer calf that wins the first division, very striking. I love the way, for me, I like that cushion, the way she hits the ground. We can all debate that however we want. For me, I like it. I said whenever we talked her in division, that she is carrying the most condition. She's obviously the most ready. Whether I read as much muscle in her as feed, and I guess in my mind I come down to I do, and I've read her as being just a nickel truer out through her hip and pin set. I read her being just a nickel nicer the way she hits the ground up front. The heifer calf that was second or reserved behind her, tremendous heifer calf. It just came down to my mind longevity. Trying to project both these females out a year from now, that's awfully hard. That's the way I read them, and I think this heifer comes back out here and represents herself very well. The fall, there again, not a lot of numbers in that. Heifer like this, dang sure has her place in the industry. She has some power. She has some body. She carries that hip nice. Not as flashy as some of the heifers out here, but a good meat and potatoes, get out and get the job done. A super nice project for that young man. The summer yearling, a lot the same thing repeated. We've got some bone, we've got some power, we've got some performance. It's whether or not we blend it together in what we would call elite. And but that's going to be a good female for that young man. That is a great start to a cow herd. And then we come with our spring yearling here, and I'm a guy that likes breds. Everybody knows you walk back to our stalls, you're going to see a lot more breds than you see calves. With that being said, you always got to keep from falling into that trap. Am I a guy that is going to go out there and forgive a problem here or there just so I can make a point. And I don't ever want to fall into that trap. But with that being said, boy, there's a ton of pounds in performance. You know, you love this thing's rib cage. She gets out and travels nice. We talked in division or class that you know, we weren't in love with the way she is designed out through her shoulder. And so then it comes down to just trying to decide, you know, whether we can project the heifer calf out a year from now to look like this, you know, excel in the few areas that we're going to be a little critical on her. And that ends up being a judgment call. Everybody has to make that, you know, both when you're buying them, when you're selecting them, when you're judging them. I'm going to go out here and give them one last look and show you the ones that suit me. As we get out here and pick our reserve, and it's not as cut and dried as what I would like it to be. You're probably going to do something you won't see me do very often, and that's use a couple of calves to win. The young lady's going to be reserve. It just comes down in my mind. I read this one as maybe down the road, just having a little more profit in her for this sector of the industry for what a percentage end up getting out and doing for you, and the productivity of those calves coming out. Congratulations.
Well, we'd like to congratulate over here in the percentage Charolais ring, your grand champion female coming out of Class 8C, the Junior Heifer Calf Division. That was Peck Pavlova, 5'10", exhibited by Tilden Smith of Altus, Oklahoma. And reserve champion and congratulations will go to Elizabeth Sliger of Tupelo, Oklahoma, with Conley Elvira, 180N. We're going to head to the backdrop over here in Ring 1. Following the photos, we will come back for the Junior Charolais Female Show. 1A. These are late spring heifer calves to start out the Junior Charolais female show.
We're not going to get this young man hurt out here. This heifer comes to the top pretty easily for me. We've all had cattle that get out here and they're just not ready to do it. She's pretty easily the highest quality one for me. She gets out and travels the best. This young man did an awesome job. Well, I've got a couple of ranked big bulls that I might hire him to come back and tame on for me. This heifer, I mean, I can talk her all day. I love the way she gets out and moves, her body, the way she carries her spine, the way she hits the ground. She's a pretty easily class winner for me. We'll let her go outside the ring and settle down and come back in division. Next heifer in line ends up here just the way she handles her pasturing when she hits the ground. She comes out and travels just a little nicer whenever she hits the ground with that rear pasturing than the heifer in third. But you know, just gets outclassed by the heifer in front of her. And then the heifer in third, you know, besides the way she hits the ground, you'd like her just a nickel more body and nickel more refined up front to compete with the ones in the front of the class.
Well, congratulations over here in the Texas Longhorn Ring. Results out of our senior division. Senior champion exhibited by Colton Wood with LL Lucky Strike. Reserve champion also to Colton Wood with LL Dirty Mistress. Over in the Charolais ring, first class in your Junior Charolais Heifer Show, first place exhibited by Orrin Becker of Atkins, Iowa with BFC NOLA 531. Second place in that class will go to Reed Groves of Beggs, Oklahoma with GSC Miss Nina 402N. Third place exhibited by Ellie Peterson of Kabul, Missouri with TLC Rose. We'll now welcome in Class 1B late spring heifer calves. Well, congratulations, your grand champion coming out of the senior division, exhibited by Colton Wood. That was LL Lucky Strike. And congratulations to the reserve grand champion, also coming out of the senior division, exhibited by Colton Wood, LL Dirty Mistress. We'll now get started with the Youth Bull Show. We'll be bringing in Class 17 bulls born July through August of 2025. Well, congratulations in a first class of Youth Texas Longhorn Bulls. First place with Braylon Miller with CCR Rowdy Ringo, and second place exhibited by Ethan Hickman. We'll now look to see Class 18. Congratulations in Class 18 in the Texas Longhorn Ring. First place exhibited by Langston Taylor with Perpetual Society CP. And second place will go to Jalen Krimmel with 14K's Joe Dirt. We'll now look to see Class 19 in the Texas Longhorn Ring.
Well, there's going to be a little give and take out here. That's just kind of what you expect. And I commend all these young people for sticking it out with these. We're getting late in the day. These are young cattle. Heck, I have trouble walking sometimes too, so we're going to have some accidents. I'm just going to talk you through the way I read these things. I do believe this is a power and performance breed, but I do believe we got to keep them in production for a long time too. So we're going to go out here and try to balance out, what the balance between power, performance, soundness, and longevity. And the way this heifer calf comes to the top, she is not the highest performing. She's not the biggest muscled, although I do believe she is comparable in muscle and bone to the rest of the females in class for her size and actually her maturity. It's actually structure that gets her up here for me. I like the way she carries that spine a little bit leveler. I read her a little truer in her pin set. She is not quite as refined up through that chin and jowl as a few of them out here, but she ends up being a little nicer through her chest floor. And just the way she carries her spine, the way she stops, the elevation in her blade as compared to her hip structure and all that, that's how she ends up coming up here to the top for me. The one that I think kind of balances out the need for bone, the need for muscle, and then longevity of structure in the pasture. The heifer that comes in next, she ends up being second. For the reason she gets beat is the reason she beats the heifer coming in third. She isn't quite as level whenever you judge her from her pin set down to the top of her shoulder, but she does carry that. She is nicer in her pin set. She is more level spine than the heifer that comes in behind her. She doesn't have quite the refinement up front of that heifer. She doesn't have quite the extra muscle or rib shape that heifer has, but it's the way she carries that spine and combines those parts and works it into a package that I think follows the first heifer and just gets her out there, excels the heifer in third. The heifer in third, I mean, at my heart, I love this heifer. I love the power. I love the performance in her. I love the turn to that rib shape, both, when you look at her from the side, when you look at her from the three-quarter view, and you look at that barrel that she has down through her. I like the extra look that she probably has up through her front end. For me, when she gets out here, just when I analyze her from the top of that hip down to her blade, and then from that hip to that pin set, she just doesn't level up enough for me to read as much longevity. That's reading a lot into heifer calves. That's just the way I see them. The heifer that comes in next, this heifer has some future, just gets out powered in a lot of different ways, a little stiffer behind when she moves, but a good heifer nonetheless. The next heifer gives up a little bit of performance and overall look. This is a tough class. She ended up here because she does have a little more look and I think refines that shoulder just a little bit nicer, reads a little more longevity. A little stouter heifer that comes behind, if we could just make her a little nicer through that shoulder, I think she ends up maybe getting a higher. And then the young man that comes in just runs into a buzzsaw of a class.
Well, congratulations in the Texas Longhorn Ring. Results out of Class 20, first place, exhibited by Waverly McCauley with LR Stanley CP. Second place was exhibited by Ethan Hickman. Third place go to Jalen Krimmel. Back over in the Charolais ring, results out of Class 1B late spring heifer calves. First place exhibited by back number 1411 AC Miss Now or Never 2547 ET, exhibited by Parker Buck of Delaware, Oklahoma. Second place went to back number 1413, exhibited by Emily Allen. Third place, and congratulations in that class will go to Aubrey Slaughter of Savoy, Texas. Fourth place was exhibited by Braylon Oliver. Fifth place will go to Easton Hardy. Sixth place exhibited by Joanne Bilger. And seventh place exhibited by William Berry. Now in the Charolais ring, Class 1C early spring heifer calves. Well, congratulations before the division over here in the Texas Longhorn Ring. Results of Class 21. First place exhibited by Colton Wood with LL Flight Risk. We'll now welcome in those first and seconds. We'll select a Grand and Reserve Grand Champion bull. Well, congratulations, your champion bull exhibited by Michael Gregory with LR Rack 'em Up CP. And congratulations, reserve champion will come out of class 20, exhibited by Waverly McCauley. That was LR Stanley CP.
Kind of a mixed bag out here for a big class. And once again, I'll just kind of talk you through the way we ended up here. And there's some stuff down lower in the class that I really do think needs explaining, but it's just the way I read them. This heifer here comes to the top of the class for me. A lot of what we talked about in the last class, the way she carries that spine nice and level. Just I read her just a nickel leveler from that shoulder all the way back to that pin set. She doesn't necessarily hit as being that bold a pin until you get right on top of her. And I think right on top of her, I do like that pin set in her a nickel better. I like the way she lays in. She probably isn't quite as big a boned, but I actually read her as having just as much actual probably muscle when you consider the condition that I read the second one in. Just one that kind of came to the top of the class for me when you really get on her and the way she gets out and goes. The heifer in second, I like the power she has. I read her as getting maybe a nickel tighter up in her flank. Like I said, run downhill just a tick and just a little extra condition. I could see these heifers going different ways. I just read the one in the future being a little fresher and carrying her spine a little nicer. This heifer here, I like this heifer. I like the way that she puts some things together. Gets out-powered and performed by the ones that come in ahead of her and doesn't carry quite enough extra look for me to really get above them, but for sure has a nice look out to her. The heifer coming in next, this is just the way I read them. I read a little more maturity in her. I read a little more condition through her chest floor already. I appreciate her look, the curvature she has to her, just maybe a little more mature to get a heifer around the heifers that come out ahead of her, and just lush condition. This heifer here hit me pretty hard. I like this heifer a lot. I don't like the way she's moving out of her front end today. She moves a little more upright for me. If the rest of her, boy, she hits me hard. I like her lines. I like her rib shape. Very well presented. I just can't get on board with the shoulder structure today. Next heifer in line gets a little outperformed, a little out-sexied up through her front end. Good sound heifer. Big growthy heifer here. We'd like to refine her a little bit more to go any higher. Next heifer in line, I love her flexibility. Would like to change her hip a little bit. Would like to just make her a little nicer in that pin set when she goes. And the heifers that finish out the class get outperformed, outlook.
Well, congratulations back in the Charolais ring. Results out of Class 1C. First place will go to back number 1426. Exhibited by Savannah Jeter of Jacksboro, Texas. That was LL Miss Nova Candy, 5001N. Second place in that class, exhibited by Emily Allen with JFS HF Dixie 314ET. Third place go to back number 1419, exhibited by John Chandler of Belton, South Carolina. Fourth place was exhibited by Hayden Sampson of Afton, Tennessee. Fifth place, exhibited by Parker Kellison. Sixth place, and congratulations go to Briggs Harvey. Seventh place, exhibited by Charlie Withers. Eighth place went to Katie Hazemeyer. Ninth place was exhibited by Danielle Nunes. And 10th place, and congratulations go to Annabelle Altman. Now in the ring, we'll bring in those first and seconds. Our judge will select his champion reserve spring heifer calves. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results out of Class 13. Your first class of miniature bulls. First place exhibited by Colby Woolton. Second place was exhibited by Melissa Dittmar. And third place went to Landon Dittmar.
Very good division to start out the purebreds. There's some give and take along the way. We do believe that we need to have some power and some performance in these purebreds. We also have to have the correct structure in them. And we'll start off with the heifer calf. Boy, I sure do like this heifer calf. I mean, it's hard not to like her look and her rib shape and the way she comes to you. I'm not going to lie. I would like for her to be acting a little bit better for the young man. The reason I say that, whenever she gets out and goes, I read her as being a little hesitant on them rear pasterns. I've had cattle that acted up and did that, and then I've had cattle that just did that. And that's one of those things that concerns me about her. But I understand a young man, a young heifer and all that, you kind of take what you can get. That's a very high-quality individual, and the young man's out here toughing it out. I'm impressed with him. Next heifer in line, the way we talked her in class, she wasn't the biggest muscle. She wasn't the most power bone one. It was the way she put everything together, and in the context of looking at these things, trying to project them out, as a performance, a power breed, and all that. I do believe you can give a little bit on how trim neck they are and one thing or another that, but I don't know if you can ever give any on actual structure. You know, the way they carry their spine, levelness, the way they lay into their shoulder, and I felt that this heifer just tied all that stuff together a little bit better, even if she wasn't the power package in the class. The next heifer in line, I really like this heifer a lot. I like her angles. You know, whenever you look at her shoulder, I like the way she comes out of that chest floor. I like the way she hits the ground. Like I said in class, you know, the question for me gets to be that pin set, how she levels out down her spine. The way, when I said when we got in on her, I believe that she was a nickel nicer bolder pin than the heifer that she ends up getting around. She was a little nicer in her flank, and I do believe she is. But it might be those things that kind of betray her out here compared to some of the ones in front of her. The second's a nice set of females. You know, in all honesty, maybe a nickel more power, just not quite as refined for what I'm looking for as far as tying structure together with that power and bone and performance. I'm going to go out here and pick your division champion. We're going to bring a second out here and give them a second look at and go from there. Well, I feel for this heifer, it is getting later in the day for him and all that. The nice high-performing heifer, you know, the way we talked, we liked her muscle, her performance, her bone. Got outclassed structured-wise by the heifer that ends up beating her. We're going to use a young man's heifer to be reserve. I'm not going to go up and slap her. He's had a hard enough day. I do believe this heifer has a tremendous amount of future. I'm gonna take a little bit of a leap, and I do believe the way she's landing on them pasterns could be just being a little wound up with this young man, but that's a high quality individual.
Well, congratulations back in the Charolais ring, your spring calf champion female, exhibited by Parker Buck of Delaware, Oklahoma, with AC Miss Now or Never 2547 ET, and reserve champion in that first division, exhibited by Orrin Becker of Atkins, Iowa, with BFC NOLA 531. We're now going to welcome in Class 2A. These are junior heifer calves. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results out of your first two classes of standard steers. First place in Class 25, exhibited by Braylon Miller. That was MM Cowboy Cortez. And out of Class 26, exhibited by Trip Lutz with JP Moby Dick. We're now going to welcome in 27. These are steers born January through March of 2025. Well, congratulations in Class 27 before the division over here in the Texas Longhorn Ring. First place exhibited by Jackson Dickey with 41 Cooper Flag. Second place and congratulations go to Alexis Stone. Third place exhibited by Memphis Mercari. And fourth place exhibited by Jalen Krimmel. We'll now welcome in those first and seconds. Select the champion reserve junior steer.
An exceptional class of young breed females. I think this class is very deep. It's little things that end up sorting them. The heifer comes to the top of the class. I mean, anybody can see how striking she is. The way she comes to you, front end, chest floor, to the ground, the way she is in her hip and back and all that. I believe that one of the freshest females in the class too, and that's to me what gives her the easy edge over what comes 2, 3, 4 is I do believe that heifer has enough muscle and enough performance to her for the condition she's in, and carries a little extra rib shape, a little extra look. We like the levelness of spine that she is. I mean, she checks all the boxes. Plus, I think she's one of the fresher ones out here. Next heifer in line, this is where we kind of talk that structure over power deal compared to the one in second and third. The heifer in third probably does have a little more power. It's when you get right in behind them, that extra power in the third place heifer comes with being a nickel bow-legged when you get into her behind. And that's what really sorts these two for me is that back leg structure when you get in behind them. They're fairly comparable in their look and their body capacity and their hip structure. It's just when you get right in behind these two females, I think we have a little more longevity in our back leg structure in our second place than our third place. Third place heifer, big, powerful, bold female, well presented. Just the way I read her, like I said, when you get in down on her and look at her, the way she comes out of that twist down into her ankle, I just read her as being a little bit of bow-legged, and that's what lands her here for me. That extra power and that nice hip structure hip structure is what ends up standing above this next heifer. This heifer I read is nice, powerful heifer. Maybe just a little more grow. I believe we need growth, but I think we need to balance our growth with capacity and being functional. Next heifer in line, she ends up down here the way she handles her hawk behind. She gets in together on her back end a little bit for me. Nice, complete female, nice sided. Just that the way she comes together in that hawk gets a lot classed. This heifer here, she hasn't had her best day hair-wise and all that. I understand the black paint and all that. I like this heifer a lot. It's the way she handles this hawk on this side in her pastern. It lands her here. If she could handle this hawk and pastern a nickel nicer, she goes up a little higher in the class just because of her look and her presence and all that. But she just kind of lets herself down there. And the next two heifers in line, these are nice, fresh heifers. A heifer that ended up here, she ended up kind of what we're talking about, the way we carry her spine, levelness and all that. She's not the powerhouse, extremely fresh, good looking. Does get outpowered by the one behind her, but the one behind her just doesn't carry that hip down into that blade quite good enough for me.
Well, Well, congratulations back in the Texas Longhorn ring. Results out of our junior champion steer division. Champion exhibited by Jackson Dickey, and reserve champion will go to Alexis Stone. Back over in the Charolais ring, results out of your first class in the junior heifer calf division. First place exhibited by back number 1436. That's ACPGC Miss Nadia 2501 ET, exhibited by Carter Cornegie of Sperry, Oklahoma. Second place will go to Trace Ritter of Herman, Missouri with TRGSRF Miss Mara 0110. Third place was exhibited by back number 1432. That's Trip Earls of Hollis, Oklahoma. Fourth place will go to Micah Joe Brumley of Rush Springs, Oklahoma. Fifth place exhibited by Avery Knupp of Orion, Illinois. Sixth place exhibited by Reed Naughton of Atlanta, Illinois. Seventh place went to Tegan Hardy, and eighth place in that class will go to Devin Frazier. Now in ring one, we'll look to see class 2B. These are junior heifer calves. Well, congratulations in Class 32 over here in the Texas Longhorn Ring. First place exhibited by back number 1003. That's Flying H. Sammy, exhibited by Jalen Krimmel. We'll now look to see Class 33, steers born in 2023.
Well, we talked earlier about questions, and this is another one of those questions. I think I've talked quite a bit about trying to work out a balance between the power and bone and refinement that we need and all that. And you know, it's, in my opinion, and we spend a lot of time feeding on these things. We sell a good number of them. We feed a good number of them. And there's days that you just don't quite get there. And that's kind of what happened out here today for me. This heifer, obviously the biggest body, biggest bone, biggest muscle. I don't think there's a nickel of difference in the way they travel. Is a heifer in second slightly more refined? The way she ties into her shoulder, yes, she is. I think when you get in behind them and watch them move, the heifer in first goes ahead and excels. Would I like to tie this thing together just a little bit better whenever she gets lazy? Yes. I don't think laziness, tiredness, I don't think is necessarily a structural trait, and so that's how she comes to the top in this class. The heifer in second, I know these heifers are polar opposites today, and it just ends up being, is there enough cow behind his shoulder to go ahead and beat this powerful female that wins the class? And for me today, it's small differences. If there was a little more to her, if there was a little more actual barrel, a little more actual rib shape, if we had a little bit more bone, a little bit more muscle, and the way these things fill up, that could be different tomorrow morning. And the refinement and the completeness she has, the way that she holds herself together a little bit better in her spine. But these are still purebred Charolais, and if you're not going to refine that to an exceptional level to me, then you're probably going to get beat by a little more power that does it just about as well. The next heifer that comes in, she, for size and frame, she gets outpowered by the ones ahead of her. I actually like the way this female is made. She is a little more refined through her front. Does tie in nice to her shoulder. She actually has a ton of turn down her top, and when you get in behind her, I think that's a nice female. It just hit a really, really tough class. Next heifer in line, it was a difference in refinement. I don't think this heifer, even with extra power and body and bone that she may have over the heifer just ahead of her, she doesn't refine herself and her structure enough. She doesn't tie herself in good enough to go ahead and get around the heifer in front of her. Next heifer in line, this heifer here just kind of gets outclassed. There's some good in this female. She just doesn't balance up quite as good as the ones in front of her. Next heifer in line, needs to have a little more growth and performance. Stretch it out more to get much higher. The young man coming in here in last, this heifer does have the power and performance. To me, it's her structure off of both ends that lands her here. When you get in behind her, the way she gets a little bow-legged behind, the way she gets elevated, and her tail head just lands her down here. I don't believe this division is going to be quite as suspenseful as some may be later on or even earlier on. There's a female out here that hits me pretty hard. We talked about her freshness and the way she balances up and does it, carries some muscle and bone and performance with some refinement. That's going to be the heifer out of her first class. She comes to the top pretty handily for me. We're going to bring that second place in because I do think that's where there gets to be more give and take in the way they're tied together, and I'm going to look at them a little closer. I don't know that I'm going to talk reserve divisions that much today, but these two females are different but very close in as far as the things they bring to the table. So I figured they deserve talking just the way I see them. The heifer in front that is second in the first class ties together a little nicer in her forerib, down behind her shoulder. If in my mind there's a question, it's projecting her forward another 6-8 months. Does she have the power and performance to keep up with the heifer behind her? In my mind, and this is going to go out on a limb because the way cattle end up growing in development, I just read the head, the neck, the front end, the maturity as being a little bit younger in the heifer that was second in the first class. She's going to be our reserve division. I just believe there might be a little more future in her. I think she might be just a little later maturing and still ties together a little bit nicer. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations in Class 2A Junior Heifer Calves. Your division champion will come out of that class, and reserve your champion. Exhibited by Carter Cornegie, Sperry, Oklahoma, with ACPGC Miss Nadia 2501 ET. And reserve champion in that division, exhibited by Trace Ritter of Herman, Missouri. That's TRGS RF Miss Mara 0110. In the Charolais ring, we'll now look to see Class 3A to start out the senior calf division. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results out of your senior steer division. Your champion was exhibited by Cal Walker Locke with LR Rivals on the Edge CP and reserve champion. And congratulations go to Maxwell Mason. We would like to remind those of you sitting in the stands that we do have the Junior Bronvie show to start after the conclusion of our Texas Longhorn show. So again, if you're sitting ringside, please grab a drink and something to eat and stick around to watch the Junior Bronvie show here in Arena 2.
out here in this class, just two of them, we'll just leave them here, or they'll walk around. What we've talked about before, power and performance versus how refined you are. The heifer in second is going to be a little more refined. She just gives up too much actual muscle, bone growth. Yep. Sorry. We'll get them in the right order. I would like to see the young man's heifer slightly more refined, just whenever you look at her in her shoulder and her neck. But I think the extra power and performance, length of body, just ends up getting her here over the heifer in second. The heifer in second, I like the way this heifer is put together. We just need to have a little more heifer, a little wider pin set, a little bolder down her spine to go ahead and run with the power heifer in first.
Well, congratulations, grand champion steer here at the Cattlemen's Congress Junior Texas Longhorn Show, exhibited by Cal Walker Locke with LR Revivals on the Edge CP. And congratulations, reserve champion steer coming out of the junior division. That was exhibited by Jackson Dickey with 41 Cooper Flag. Again, congratulations to all of our Junior Texas Longhorn exhibitors. We do have a miniature division to go before concluding our show. We'll look to see Class 38 miniature steers born in 2025. Well, congratulations in a first class miniature Texas Longhorn steers. First place exhibited by Alexis Stone with 2M Redstone Legacy. Second place in that class will go to Colton Wood with LLEZE. We'll now look to see class 39. This will be miniature steers born in 2024.
This is a pair for me that I think I could look at 4 or 5 different times and kind of go back and forth on. Just kind of talk the way I'm looking at them. The heifer that leads off the class, not the most refined up front. There's no two ways about that. Ties in super all the way through. If I walked them again, you know, I catch this heifer being adequate. The way she moves behind, I think she handles her hip right. I think she handles her back leg right. Every now and then she'll get a little short on that stride, missing it by a bunch, and it's not every time. And so that was something that I just really wanted to look and see if we had a movement issue or if maybe it just wasn't perfect every time. You know, I understand that cattle aren't perfect every time. What ends up getting her to the top of the class is the extra shape that she has. I believe she extra has a little more actual width down her spine, the way she ties into her blades and through her pin set. The heifer that comes in second, I really, really like this heifer. You know, she another time or two around the ring, maybe this heifer wins the class. I really do like her style, her look. She is a little bit more refined up through that front end. Just gives up a little more power, and I didn't think excelled the one that wins the class in movement enough to go ahead and get her to win the class, but exceptional female. The heifer that comes in next just gets outclassed by the ones in front of her. Not quite as much body, not quite as much look time, quite as nice in that forerib and into her shoulder, you know, spine shoulder junction, but a powerful female, a female that gets out and has some real boldness and muscle to her. The next heifer that comes in line, it's movement off of both ends. I mean, they've done a very nice job with this heifer. She's very striking, just a little upright in her shoulder, and just movement lands her right here. And the next heifer that comes in line, we just give up too much body, too much power, too much bone, and we're not refined enough to overcome that in this class. In this division, the heifer that wins the first class, that was a fairly small class, but did it because of her power and her dimension and extra growth as compared to the heifer in second, that class that you know, what was slightly more refined, but not enough to really overcome this one power-wise. The heifer that wins the second class, you know, that was a decision there. You know, I think you make decisions and you live with them, and I like, with not being quite as refined through her front end, she ties in a little nicer in her forerib than the heifer in front of her. Carries just as much width down her spine in that hip and down to the ground. She'll be our division champion. Our heifer second that class will be reserve division. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations back over in the Texas Longhorn ring. Results at Class 39 miniature steers. First place went to LL Purple Haze, exhibited by Colton Wood. Second place will go to Harper Keene. And third place was exhibited by Melissa Dittmar. Now in the rings, your final class of miniature Texas Longhorn steers. Back over in the Charolais ring, results out of the senior heifer calf division. Champion was exhibited by Cashin Oakshner of Pall Mall, Tennessee, with SHF Miss Dynasty 2415. And reserve champion exhibited by Shayla Dismukes of Chakota, Oklahoma, with DR Forever Lucy 3514. We'll now look to see Class 4. These are early summer yearling females. Well, congratulations in Class 40, your final class of miniature Texas Longhorn steers. First place, exhibited by Colton Wood with LL Explosion. Second place in that class went to Avery Matthey. We'll now welcome in the first and second, select the Grand and Reserve Grand Champion mini steer. Well, congratulations, your grand champion, miniature Texas Longhorn steer coming out of Class 40. That was LL Explosion, exhibited by Colton Wood. And congratulations, the reserve champion miniature steer coming out of Class 40 as well. That was KR Michael Alexander, exhibited by Avery Matthey.
Well, this is for sure one of those. If you could mix and match some classes, boy, you'd come up with a for sure war horse. Just talk you through a little bit the way I see it here. Do we have the most powerful female win in the class? No. Do I think she excels the one behind her, the in volume, body, look up through her front end? Yes. I read her as adequate in bone. I read her as adequate in muscle. I do like the way she ties in down her top. I think at the end, if we're gonna go out here and we're gonna have to say, hey, okay, we're gonna make a judgment call here. I do like the way she's tied in a little nicer across the top of her shoulders. I do like that she is a little leveler in her spine whenever you go from her hip down into her blade, and that ends up getting her up there. Would I like to see her a little more powered up? Yes, it's one of those things you got to kind of mix and match, and that's, she just came to the top. The heifer in second. You know, we do a few things and she wins the class. We give her a shot more body. We refine her a little bit through that shoulder. We make her just a nickel more flexible. She's not bad, but a nickel more flexible. We square up her pin set just a little bit. All this is places where this heifer is very good. She just gets excelled enough by the one ahead of her. I would like to use one that has this much power, but I feel like we need to level out to where those blades tie in and just make her excel just a few more in these other places to get away around that one that ties in a little bit better than she does. The heifer next, this is where it gets tough because there's some real good females down through here. This heifer here has some power, has some look. She gives up a little bit of growth. She gives up a little bit of body. Not a bad female. I just think we don't like the heifer that wins the class. This heifer is probably more comparable with her in her muscle type, in her look, but she doesn't have enough of that to go ahead and excel the heifer that stands above her. The next heifer in line, I like the condition this heifer comes in. I read her as she's struggling out of her front end when she goes. It may just be the way she's coming out here, but she just seems to struggle out of that shoulder a little bit, gets a little elevated in her tail head, lands her here. But that's a nice heifer, you know. Different day, free her up a little bit. That thing could go a little bit higher. Next heifer in line, a little upright on both ends for me, a little elevated in her tail head, gives up enough power and performance to the ones ahead of her. But she does excel the heifer that comes in next, just in her look and style. To me, there's not enough of a difference in movement in these two to get this heifer up any higher.
Well, congratulations back over in the Charolais ring. Results out of Class 4 in your intermediate female division. Champion was exhibited by Devin Frazier of Meeker, Oklahoma, with Jenkins Lady 410 MET. And reserve in that division will go to John Davis III of Iva, South Carolina, with Block and Press 108. Now in the ring, this Class 5A late spring yearling heifers. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, we do have 4 classes of showmanship before we roll right into the Junior Braun v Female show. In the junior division, ages 7 to 9 years old, we'd like to congratulate. First place will go to Kale Walker Locke. Second place went to Jackson Dickey. And third place went to Landon Ditmar.
Hey, yeah. Well, it's not getting any easy out here, and once again, you know, it comes down to so many small things. We have a big power and performance or power at least deficit between the two. I also think we have a big condition deficit between the two. So you get down to smaller things, you know. I mean, we have a little nicer look. We have just a shot more fore rib, a shot more flank, shot more capacity. If I'd like to stouten this heifer up a little bit. She also doesn't seem like she's carrying much condition. If the one thing that makes it close to me is when we get her stopped. When she gets out and goes, she collects herself, she pulls that spine together. I'm 100% all right with her. It's when she stops, she gets a little lazy, she gets a little looser in that spine. I still think the way that she travels, and it's close. The heifer here in second, whenever she gets out and goes, she gets just a nickel outside of her structure when she moves behind. That could be from the extra condition she's carrying. It's one of those things, you know, we power them up, we put a little bit more in them, and sometimes those are the effects we get. I like this heifer a lot. You know, it's one of those things you kind of just gotta get out here and finally decide, you know, okay, I'm gonna go in and do this like I want. You know, out here, I don't believe she's broad out of her front end. She stands a little broad out of her front end whenever she's standing like that, just like she moves a little wide behind whenever she moves. I think that's an exceptionally good female. I think we don't have to make those choices between refinement, movement, the way we hit the ground. Then this heifer kind of comes to the top. But just the way she gets outside of herself a little bit whenever she moves, she's plenty good looking for me. Just the way she gets outside of herself lands her here. The next heifer, I like this heifer. She doesn't have the body that the heifers ahead of her have. She gets a little lower pinned, a little narrower pin set. Just kind of comes into two that just slightly excel her a little bit. They're not you know, way better females than she is. They're just slightly better, and that's what lands her here. Next heifer in line, a moderate female, but I like this female a lot. She's really complete. She does a lot of nice things for me. She just doesn't do enough nice things for me with being a little more moderate to get her up further in the class. The next heifer in line, the young lady in the green sweater, high-performing heifer. Don't like the way she carries that tail head. Don't like the way she gets out of that front end. That's what lands her down here, but a high-performing heifer. Next heifer in line, same way. Movement kind of lands her here. Overall refinement and appeal. And the heifer that bottoms out the class, this female has a good production side to her. She just doesn't get out here and compete with these other females.
Well, congratulations in Class 5A over in the Charolais ring. First place exhibited by Carly Sanders of Leesburg, Ohio with CALP Abby 163M. Second place in that class exhibited by John Davis III of Iva, South Carolina with block SHRL L Miss Pop Style 104. Third place exhibited by Alyssa Meyer, Clinton, Tennessee. Fourth place to go to Charlie Becker of Atkins, Iowa. Fifth place was exhibited by Avery Hunt. Sixth place went to Carson Kellison, and seventh place exhibited by Presley Oliver. Back over in the Texas Longhorn ring, results out of the intermediate showmanship division. First place and congratulations go to Ethan Hickman. Second place went to Bryn Hickman. And third place went to Melissa Dittmar. Well, congratulations in the teen division. These are showmen ages 13 to 15. First place go to Avery Matthew. Second place, and congratulations to Waverly McCauley. And third place went to Colton Wood. We'll look to see one more class here in the Junior Texas Longhorn Show. We would like to put our hands together and thank our judge today, Mr. Kirk Stierwalt of Leedy, Oklahoma, for joining us here for the Texas Longhorn Show.
This class here, I went quicker on it. To me, it sorts itself a lot easier. This heifer coming out, winning the class, I read her as actually having more actual true muscle, more shape, in a leaner, more refined, tied together package. The heifer in second's a little soggier through her forerib, but I think that's just it. I think she's soggy. I don't think she's actually deeper, bolder, and broader in her forerib. I think the heifer winning the class, has that nice balance of bone, muscle, performance in a very clean, fresh, very fresh package. I like that package. The next heifer in line, I do love her pin. It's a big, bold pinned one. I read that the actual width that she has is being more fed on width. She isn't near as out through her front end with that extra condition, and I don't think she has as much true rib shape and barrel as a heifer that comes out in front of her, but a very good heifer. Just ran into a really fresh, really well built one. Next heifer in line gets outclassed by the two ahead of her, but carries some power and performance. Her spine, her forerib is kind of what gets her ahead of the heifer in second. The heifer or the heifer behind her, just not enough forerib, not enough belly. Gets up a little bit in her tailhead, but a nice, neat, lean, fresh package. And the heifer that comes in at the end, she just doesn't have enough body, enough refinement to run with the ones ahead of her.
Well, congratulations in Class 5B over here in the Charolais ring. First place exhibited by Devery Darbin of Duncan, Oklahoma with FFF Miss Perfection 4103. Second place in that class exhibited by back number 1480. That was CALP Abby 39M exhibited by Austin Dorhoff of Henley, Missouri. Third place go to Ridley Bendel of Chandler, Oklahoma. Fourth place exhibited by Easton Hardy. Fifth place will go to Leedy Novak. We're now going to welcome in the first and seconds. We'll have a spring yearling division at this time in ring one. Again, in the Texas Longhorn ring, this is your final class in our Texas Longhorn show. We'd like to thank once again our judge, Mr. Kirk Stierwalt, for joining us here today. We will be going right into the Junior Bronvy show, so stay ringside, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to watch the Bronvy show. We'll get started momentarily. Well, congratulations in our final class here in the Texas Longhorn Show. First place senior showman Sheridan Van Blarcom. Second place go to Hadley Anderson, and third place to Quinlan Gallet. Again, congratulations to all of the Texas Longhorn exhibitors here at the Cattlemen's Congress. We appreciate you joining us here for the first year in the OG&E Coliseum. We'll get the ring cleared, and we'll get started with your junior Braun v. Female show in just a moment.
When we get out here in this junior yearling division, once again, I think there's some choices to be made. The heifer that wins the first class, that was a very tough class, and there's so many choices to be made in that. I just like the way this heifer gets out and goes better. Like we said, when she parks, boy, you sure like to pull that top up in her a little bit. When she gets out and travels, boy, she levels out. We like the level of refinement she has. We like the condition she comes into us. Would I like to see this thing powered up a little bit more when you get right over her pin set? Yes, I sure would. She's nice, square pin. She's not the biggest, boldest, broadest built one up there, but I think she does everything else to a high enough degree and was fresher and moved nicer than the heifer that stands second. And that's what gets her out here to this spot. It was not an easy decision because that's a power female that comes in second. I like that female a lot. It comes down to little things, and movement's what ended up really placing that class for me. We come to the heifer in the second class, and this is a little bit of a problem animal for me because I really do like this thing. I like the extra power she has. We commented in class that I liked her condition, and when I get out here and analyze her, I because of body, you would naturally assume the heifer in front is a little higher condition, but I really don't think she is. I think the heifer in front comes to me a little bit leaner, and that's what makes it a little bit tougher because the heifer in front does tie together a little nicer from that chest into her forerib. She does have quite a bit more capacity. This is where it gets to be give and take for me. I talk about how I'd like the heifer in front to tie together better standing there, but boy, she gets out and moves, and on the move is where things get decided for me. We're going to use the heifer out of the first class to win the division. We'll bring the second in and look at that one. Once again, we get out here, don't mean to be talking all these reserves, but when they're this high quality cattle, I do feel like I want to articulate what I see. We talked these heifers a little bit before, but I was talking a little bit more. I think we got time. You know, I think when you get on them, I don't think there is a huge condition difference in them. Maybe slightly more up front, but I don't think it's enough to make a difference, especially the way she ties in her forerib. You know, comes down to little things. I don't think there is a huge difference in actual muscle and bone. There's a slight difference in movement. I think very slight. We gotta start going to second and third and fourth things that we're gonna look at, and the heifer that's going to end up being reserve division. We get down the rung a little bit. She's making a little more of an udder. You can actually see her teat placement. She'll end up being reserve.
Well, congratulations over here in the Charolais ring. Your spring yearling champion coming out of Class 5A, exhibited by Carly Sanders, Leesburg, Ohio. That's CALP Abby 163M, and reserve champion will come out of the same class, exhibited by John Davis III of Ivy, South Carolina. That was block SHRL Miss Pop Style 104. We're now going to welcome in Class 6A. These are late junior yearling females. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get started here in Arena 2 with your junior show for the Beef Builder and Braun V females. We'd like to welcome to the ring our judge today, Mr. Spencer Scotton. Spencer grew up in Nevada, Missouri on his family's cow-calf operation where they raised show cattle. He judged collegiately and is currently the livestock judging team coach at Redlands Community College in El Reno, Oklahoma. He continues to raise show cattle and goats with his wife and family. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Spencer Scotton here to the Cattlemen's Congress. Your first class in will be Class 11 over here in Ring 2. This is late spring heifer calves born on or after April 16th of 2025.
Well, this is one of those classes, if you want to mix it up and shake it up different, the way you're going to put them into your herd, you're more than welcome to. Once again, I'll just tell you the way I see them. It's front end structure that ends up doing it here for me. I wish it would have been a little easier because of udder quality and one thing or another, but when we look at the heifer that wins the class, she's a little nicer out of her shoulder, a little more power and all that. I don't love her front quarter on this side. The other side, that udder looks pretty nice. The heifer that comes in second, she's not right in her front end. She gets a little out and a little broad when she stands there. She is nicer on this side on her udder. You get on the other side, the rear quarter isn't near as refined, and so it ends up being a little more cut and dried for me. Structure kind of clears this up.
Well, congratulations in our first class of Junior Beef Builder Heifers. First place and congratulations will go to Katie June Alexander of Brashear, Texas, with Alexander BGH Reds Peach. Second place in that class exhibited by Annie Bassinger of Post, Texas. Third place will go to Queer Odom of Fort, Texas, and fourth place will go to Ransom Richardson of Braggs, Oklahoma. We're now going to welcome in Class 12. This will be a single entry early spring heifer calf born March to April of 2025.
A couple of high quality individuals out here. Don't need a guy like me to tell you that. I mean, these are very, very good females. I don't really know that there's a ton of give and take in it for me. I want to look at them one more time just to make sure I was comfortable with the way I was seeing them. The heifer in front, very elegant out through her front end. The question I had is there a large muscle difference in them? And I really don't believe there is. There's differences. You're going to be able to point out where one has more turn here, the other one has more shape there. I don't think there is a huge muscle difference. We maybe get a little tighter in our forerib in the heifer that wins the class, but I think the way we lay into our shoulder, the way we lay into our hip, the extra capacity, and then when you set her out in motion, she is just a nickel nicer the way she travels. Once again, two elite females. I think it's the little things that edge the one over in front over the top. Super nice female coming in second. You know, a lot of classes, a lot of shows she wins this class. It is no slight to be beat by a female like that when there are small differences. When they first come in, I thought there was quite a bit of difference in udder quality. I really don't believe there is. There's give and take on that. Just one of those things where, a little more capacity, a little more look. I don't really know that we're because we are so refined on the heifer that wins the class, we naturally want to think she's a little tighter in her forerib. When you actually analyze them, get on top of them, get out here, I really don't know that she is. Just that extra refinement makes her look that way. But we love this heifer and the boldness that she brings. I think they're pretty comparable when it comes to actual muscle. Heifer that comes next, a little more rigid when she moves, just not the mass and capacity. I do like it. Looks like she's making us a nice little udder. This is a very nice female, comes to us in very nice condition. Just got out-powered by the ones on the top end. And then the heifer that comes in at the bottom of the class. This is just a very tough class for this young man to come into. This heifer, she could be freed up a little bit, but she's got some back in her, some bone. That's a nice female.
Well, congratulations over here in the Beef Builder Ring. Results out of Class 12 and 13. In first place in Class 12 was exhibited by Megan Schultz of Friendship, Wisconsin. And first place in Class 13 went to Caitlin Jacobs of Brenham, Texas. We're now going to welcome in the first and seconds, and our judge will select his champion reserve junior heifer calves.
Not a giant division here, but very high-quality individuals. The heifer out of the first class, like we talked, a lot of power, a lot of performance. Not the most refined when you get up through that front end and shoulder. Like we talked on those heifers, whether it's give and take in that udder quality, we're not super happy with udders on either one of those females. I honestly look at it and I wonder if there's been something happen there because one is nice quartered on one side, one's nice quartered on the other side. It was front end structure that ended up elevating this heifer to the top into the class. Two nice females. The heifer's out of the second class. I'm going to be honest. I think this is where I probably land on these two females. We have the extra refinement. We have two heifers that give a little bit here, give a little bit there. A guy could probably switch them today. The heifer out of the second class wins handily for me. The second ends up being reserved. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations, your junior yearling champion female coming out of Class 6B, exhibited by Kelton Arthur, Stillwater, Oklahoma. That's Miss Nova. And reserve champion will come out of the same class, exhibited by Calla Higby. That's LJR, Miss Madison, 3826M. We'll now look to see Class 7A and 7B to select the champion reserve senior female.
Single entry here. Good young female getting out here doing what she's supposed to do. Nice udder in her. Nice elegant up front. Gets out and travels nice. Stout little bull calf on her. I mean, this is what it's all about, is getting them out here in production. I commend this young lady for having the fortitude to bring a pair. You know, they're not the easiest thing to manage, and to stick with it and bring a nice young cow out here is very impressive. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations over here in Ring 2 results out of our junior calf division. Your junior calf champion beef builder heifer is exhibited by Caitlin Jacobs of Brenham, Texas, with BOF Maybelline 26N, and reserve in that division will go to Katie June Alexander of Brashear, Texas. We're now going to welcome in Class 14. These are winter heifer calves born November to December of 2024. Well, congratulations in Class 14 over here in the Beef Builder Ring. First place go to Foster Grace Cunning of Headley, Texas, with FGK California Barbie 2422 ET. We'll now look to see Class 15 before the division. Currently in the Charolais ring, we're going to bring in all those division champion reserves, and our judge will select his grand and reserve grand champion Charolais females here in your junior show at the Cattleman's Congress. Well, congratulations in Class 15, the Beef Builder Ring. First place will go to Jeremiah Gonzalez Jr. of Palestine, Texas. We're now going to welcome in those two first placings. We'll select the champion reserve senior heifer calf. Well, congratulations, your senior calf champion over here in the Beef Builder ring, exhibited by Jeremiah Gonzalez Jr. That's JMS Ruby 53 MET, and reserve champion in that division coming out of Class 14. We're now going to welcome in Class 16. These are intermediate heifers born May to August of 2024.
Well, this has been a very elite Charolais show. There's no two ways about it. From the start to the finish, it not only has not disappointed, it's made me think back to when we showed Charolais. This is a breed that raised me, raised my family. My family has a long history in this breed, and I will tell anybody today this is my favorite breed. We operate in other breeds right now, but there'll always be a soft spot in my heart for this breed, and so much like when we were showing them, the difference in these cattle is vast. You know, when you talk femininity, refinement, bone, muscle, you know, you have to make some choices. We're blessed in this country to have a lot of different terrain where you can argue that many different types of cattle can go out and perform in, and so with that being said, I'll talk you through what I'm kind of looking at out here. And, you know, luckily these cattle are good enough. This could all change greatly tomorrow morning when a good friend of mine judges these. Great cattleman, and I'll be curious to see how he reads them. But I'll start off this heifer calf that wins the first division. She wins this division just because of the way she tied everything together. We talked how she didn't outpower anything, but she really didn't give up anything. You know, the way she tied into her spine, the way she gets out and moves. You know, this is a female that I look at and I can project out as being that heavy bred that keeps everything held together. You know, there's going to be some management in this one because she isn't as chiseled as when you get to the heifer that in the next division. This is a very striking animal. Love the turn, love the shape to her. If I have any concern with her, boy, as nice as she holds herself together there, she gets a little rigid in her top whenever she gets out and goes. I don't know if it's anything serious. It's one of those things that there's a lot of stuff, especially with a heifer calf, that can determine whether they're doing that. You know, could just be a little wound up, but you know, that is a very striking individual. You know, there's some give and take in them too. You know, and you know, it just comes down to what you like better, whether you like one that super ties himself together, but maybe doesn't have quite the look up front, or one that does have that look and that boldness and that turn, but maybe doesn't tie herself together quite as nice when you do that four-rib shoulder junction. The falls, this fall division was what I think was one of the tougher ones. You know, we had there again in the first division where we took one with a little less actual power because of how refined she was and the way she tied stuff together. The heifer that wins this division is the power female. Because she had enough power and overwhelmed the heifer that ended up being reserved in the division that was a little more refined, tied together slightly better, but just not to the extent that she could get around this power female here. Next heifer in line, well, this is a very striking, very elegant female. I like her balance. You know, I don't think we have an unsound one out here. I think they all get out and move like they should. This female keeps suit. I wonder if she really has enough of the extras, the bells and whistles, you know, the boldness to go ahead and compete with some of the heifer calves and some of the ones behind her. But this is a female that, boy, the more you get her out here, the more you look at her, the more you go, hey, this is a super good built, good productive Charolais female. The next heifer in line, you know, this was a class and division that we looked at really, really hard. And you know, as much as we like this female on the move, you know, she does get a little weaker in her spine whenever she stops. We like the way her udder lays into her. We like the way she lays into her front end. She was a reversal of the fall division. She beat the, but she also beat the power female because of the way she moved, and that landed her there. and the heifer that's reserved in that division, power female, would like to loosen her up just a little bit more behind, but a super good female. Get down to the female next to last division, and we like that this one's making. We like the refinement that she has. She's one that like I said, we're hauling a female similar to this right now that is so bold in her center. You automatically read her as being a little tighter in her forerib. I really don't believe she is that much tighter in her forerib than a lot of cattle out here. I think sometimes that's a little deceiving. You get in behind her, that thing does have a tremendous amount of shape. I love the condition she's in. I believe this might be one of the leaner animals out here, and have one that lean and have the shape she has to her. I really appreciate that one. Then we get down to the cow-calf pair, and a nice young female out here doing her job. It's hard to bring one like, young calf on her. You've got these females that are in their prime, but she's out here representing herself very well. With that being said, a good set of seconds. I'm going to walk through them one more time. This is an elite set of females. It reminds me of back when we were showing them, and boy, it seemed like you'd go Kansas City, Louisville, Denver, and you'd have a different champion every time because the cattle were that high quality, and it just ended up being, on that day, the way a guy read them and personal preference. I want to thank everybody in this breed. Like I said, this breed raised me. I want to thank my wife at home, taking care of 2 cow herds and 20 head of show cattle and a bunch of calves and all that couldn't get to come up here. She did the Simmentals here with me last year. I was wanting her to be out here with me this year because she's the biggest part of our operation. She does all the work. She raises our kids. She does all our marketing and picturing, and it's a real shame that she couldn't be out here because I believe she is the biggest part of our success. My family, my brother and sister and all our help are back in the barn taking care of 18 head that we brought here. I know there's a lot of guys that get out here and judge these deals, and they're in the same boat I am. You're torn between coming out here and doing it and taking care of business back there. And if it wasn't for the great family and friends, help, my mother, my brother, my sister, all those people my brother-in-law, all those people that my niece that come and pitch in so that guys like me can get out here and do this, and I really appreciate. I know everybody here has family that's doing the same thing for them, and that's what's great about this. So I really want to put our hands together. Like I said, for the Charolais Association, for our families, for Cattleman's Congress. There's so many great people that go together to make this work out, and one of them that pops into mind is David Hobbs. David Hobbs has been doing this since I was little, and to still see him here, still see him, a champion for this breed is inspiring. With that being said, I'm going to look at him one more time. We're going to pick a champion. We're probably going to pull a second out here and look at him again and then pick a reserve.
Well, congratulations, your grand champion, Charolais female here in the junior show at the Cattlemen's Congress, coming out of the junior yearling division. That's Miss Nova, Kelton Arthurs, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Well, congratulations. Your champion intermediate over here in the Beef Builder ring, exhibited by Katie June Alexander with Alexander Bruno Liberty. We'll now look to see Class 17 spring yearling heifers born March to April of 2024. And congratulations, Reserve Grand Champion in our Junior Charolais show, coming out of that first division, exhibited by Parker Buck, Delaware, Oklahoma, with AC Miss Now or Never 2547 ET. Again, congratulations to all of our Junior Charolais exhibitors, and a special thank you to our judge today, Mr. Mark Kelly.